Hearing the words of Tucker Carlson.
I spent 35 years living in Washington. I don't even recognize these people and what they're doing. I really don't. It's so dark. They're doing things that can't even on an academic level conceivably help the United States or the population that lives here. Letting in 7 million people from the poorest countries in the world illegally and then immediately putting them all on public benefits? I mean, that right there will destroy the country. And they did that on purpose. So these are really, really dark people. The darkest.
You picked a fine time to be in Washington, Lucille. Trent Kelly, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. Always great to be on the Gallo Show.
Hearing Tucker Carlson say that is, I think he just kind of paints the picture of all of the weird things going on. Let's first of all, and thank you for joining me. Let's handle first of all the speaker situation and where we are with that.
Well, we're going to vote on the floor at 12 our time, 11 your time today. They'll do a quorum call, and then once they get that done, we'll stand up and listen to nominating speeches. And once those are done, we will go to the vote by roll call, and we'll see where we get there. I was in conference last night. Jim Jordan still has some work to be done. I'll be voting for him. I think most of our delegation could. I would have voted for Scalise earlier, and I voted for McCarthy earlier. But we will vote and see if he has the requisite number of votes. They say it's 217, but it can be any variation because some people can vote present and those things, which changes the math. But he needs to get a majority of the folks voting for a person on the floor.
Is there, or how many people are absolutely positively saying that they're not going to vote for him, that there's no chance that he can change their mind?
Well, let me say, Paul, you can't do this. If I work at a daycare or kindergarten, I would not be around more childish people than I am with some of these people up here. I mean, it is literally so. I would say that number is somewhere right now between 5 and 15, and it's just hard to tell because people are playing games and, wanting concessions or wanting to be on TV or just wanting, there's a litany of reasons people are doing these things. Yeah. But right now that number is somewhere between 5 and 15.
Do you think the chance that McCarthy will be, if this fails, McCarthy has a chance to regain that seat?
I really don't, and I'm just a guy who knows human nature and listen to people and constantly talking to people. I don't think he can get above the threshold again. I think it was amazing that he did. I think he did a great job while he was here, but I think that ship sailed, and I don't see any set of circumstances that he can get the requisite number of votes to get back to be Speaker of the House.
I was under the impression I was wrong on this. We had Senator Roger Wicker on the other day, and I asked Roger Wicker, I said, does it really matter if you have a speaker? Can't you just, with the Speaker pro tem, go on and conduct business? And he gave me a little history lesson here, or a government lesson. He said, no, it's totally disruptive, and I didn't realize that. So you are kind of at a standstill until this is done.
No legislation can come to the floor under the current rules of the House, and that would have been the same under Speaker Pelosi. No business can be conducted on the House floor until a Speaker is elected. The Speaker pro tem has only the power to convene to elect a new Speaker and no other powers.
I guess the people are holding out, this handful of people are holding out for, as you said, a multitude of different reasons. I would think some of them are just to climb the power base ladder there one way or the other. But they have to understand the damage this is going to do if they throw this into another vote or another round.
Absolutely. I mean, you start with the 8. You start with Matt Gaetz. They did irreparable harm to this nation for selfish reasons. Eight Republicans voted with all the Democrats to remove a speaker with no plan, and now we're sitting here and you've got different people, not those same ones, that are doing the same thing. Two wrongs don't make a right, and listen, I'm not happy about the way all this stuff went down, but at the end of the day, this nation and getting it right is more important than sitting here with petty differences between I don't like this guy or I do like this guy. We need to move forward and get a speaker elected.
I see some great attributes. I mean, he's been a bulldog on issues. Somebody said that he hasn't passed any legislation, but as far as a fighter, it seems that he's the kind of guy that, number one, will not give up on a conservative idea. Number two, he has the eloquence to I think, handle the press?
Let me say, Jim Jordan is a good friend. He does a great job. I don't buy all this legislation. The way we do legislation up here, very few of us ever pass any bills our own. We do a lot of amendments. We do a lot of things to change the laws, but we don't have bills with our names on them that go across the floor. That just doesn't happen. Jim Jordan is a conservative. He's a good leader. He's done a great job on oversight and judiciary and all the places that he's been. He will be a great leader. Steve Scalise would have been a great leader, and Kevin McCarthy was a great leader. We just need to put our petty differences aside and elect a speaker. And I'm good with either of those three, and there's some more that I'd be good with.
The votes come at 11 o'clock this morning. Is that right?
That's right. 11 your time, 12 my time.
Do you feel like that he will have it then?
I do not. But at least not on the first round. I think we'll at least go to 2 rounds. I think at that point you identify which people, because people will sit there and tell you they do one thing and then they're just disingenuous and then they do something else. So you won't truly know until they say that vote on the floor where they are. And at that point, his team can start working and decide what we need to do to get those folks across the line. But I think the first vote, it's going to be, I'd be surprised if he gets it on the first vote.
The second vote will come when? Tomorrow or later on today?
That all has to do with the speaker designate, Jim Jordan. We can roll from one vote straight into the next vote, as we did during the 15 rounds earlier. They can take a break for a week, a day, or 7 hours, whatever they decide. But I would say if the first vote is close, and I think it will be, I think we will roll right back into a second vote, because it takes a little over an hour or so to conduct that vote with it being a roll call.
Congressman, is Kevin McCarthy decided or changed his mind? Is he going to resign or just make this the final term to run and not run again?
Lord, I don't know. He's here now. He's been involved. He's been integral in the leadership of trying to get us to electing a new speaker, not running himself, trying to help other people getting there. And so it wouldn't surprise me if this is his last term, but, you know, nobody knows but Kevin what he's going to do.
Well, the worst thing I heard in the past 24 hours is that Hakeem Jeffries wanted to cut a deal with but you stay as far away from that as possible.
Yeah, well, you've got some folks on the moderates, some of those that are actually these holdouts that see a power base for themselves. They want to move in there and cut deals and concessions with the Democrat, give them some chairs or some other things. I don't know what they would do, but that is a bad idea. A government by consensus is not going to do the things that we need to do to stop President Biden and his horrible agenda from continuing to kill America.
We're also talking to the United States congressman who is the highest ranking military officer in Congress, or only in the House? Maybe in the House and Senate.
I think both sides.
Yeah. All right. Let me play this first of all. This is the way we're handling this. And when you listen to this closely, it scares you.
We now know that American citizens are among those being held by Hamas. I've directed my team to share intelligence and deploy additional experts from across the United States government to consult with and advise Israeli counterparts on hostage recovery efforts.
That's it. We have 23, how many killed now? 30 Americans killed. And what we're going to do is appoint some people to consult and advise. And I want your thoughts on that when we return. Congressman Kelly, Trent Kelly, coming up next, right after this. Back live, Trent Kelly, Mississippi Congressman, District 1. It's almost like deja vu all over again. It's 2,000 troops are on standby. When was the last time you were there? You were in engagement over there not that long ago, to be honest with you. When was that?
Oh, the last time I was over there was 2010 in a military capacity, but I've been back several. I was back there this spring, I think, in the region. But you asked a question before we started, Paul, about what I thought we were doing to get our hostages and the people who Hamas has. And First of all, this administration failed horribly in Afghanistan, and so you would like to think that they're saying one thing and they actually have people spun up and are getting ready and prepared to go get our guys. However, the history of this administration is that they are just twiddling their thumbs and doing nothing and relying on other people. We need to rely on the great generals that we have. We have our CENTCOM commander, General Kurilla over there, General Cavoli, who is a EUCOM commander, our SOCOM commanders. We have people who are prepared, and hopefully this administration will listen to the intelligence community and our special operators and go get our people. And hopefully it's just lip service that they say we're not doing anything.
Well, I maybe so, but Kirby didn't help that at all in a press conference the other day when he was asked about that. He basically says we just don't have enough. He actually said this: we don't have enough intel and information to act. I mean, that didn't put a lot of optimism with the American people and certainly the families who have hostages over there.
Not. It does not. And if we look at the withdrawal and how this administration handled getting out our citizens in Afghanistan after the debacle that they created, I don't have a high level of confidence. I do have a high level of confidence in our military and intelligence community to be able to find those guys if the administration will give them the green light.
What happens if Hezbollah moves in on here? And it just seems like, certainly with the 2,000 troops on standby, it looks like they may go over there, that we're just slowly but surely recruiting people and choosing sides, and we're leading to World War III on here. And I've often said, of all the failures, and every time you hear one of the failures from Joe Biden, whether it's Afghanistan, the border, and you can just line them all up, every subsequent one seems to be greater. And you wonder what the ultimate failure of this man who will go down in history as the number one person as far as failure is concerned. What's going to be the ultimate one? And you're scared to think about this, but it could lead to World War III.
It absolutely could. I'm not hoping for that by any means, but if you think about it, both World War I and World War II started for far smaller reasons than what we've got going on right now. And if Hezbollah gets in, that even more so strengthens the ties that Iran's involved, and you just get a mess. And once you start it, it's a whole lot easier to start than it is to stop. And people start picking sides, and it could get very dangerous. And it all comes from a leadership vacuum in our administration. Actually, no leadership at all, or sometimes even the opposite of bad leadership is they do things that make it even worse, Paul. So I'm worried about the state of our world right now.
I think everybody is. The president's talking about a couple of things. Number one, he had this soundbite recently.
You mean because I challenged an election, they want to put me in jail? I challenged an election, but I challenged a crooked election. I challenged a rigged election, and now I'm going to win for a third time.
And if he does, he's going to scare the hell out of a lot of different people. But here's the cut I wanted to play, because this one has a lot of historic value.
What they don't understand is that I am willing to go to jail if that's what it takes for our country to win and become a democracy again.
From a legal standpoint, how in the world can a judge place a gag order on him that he can't even talk about some of these people?
It's amazing how corrupt some of our judicial system has become, and it is just awful. I don't think you should. Listen, I was a district attorney, and I would often have criminal defendants get out there and say they were angels and didn't do anything, and they would have family members. I couldn't talk as a prosecutor, but the defense could sit up there and lay out all these things. And so for a judge to silence our president, listen, a defendant has more rights than the prosecution, and for him to silence him is not a good message to send to America.
Who is back on the speaker's race before we let you go? Who's sitting in the closet over there just waiting to be pulled out? Is there a name? If Jim Jordan decides even on the second vote, it's just not going to work and he's going to get out?
Paul, I think there's a ton of people. I think there's a lot of leaders who could step forward.
Yeah.
Listen, right now, nobody would want it. With this group that we have right now, it is impossible to govern when you have people who have their own self-interest above
That's
that
very,
of the country. And that is where we are right now.
Because whether you like him or not, as far as Gates is concerned, they could do the same thing to the next speaker after, just a few short months, and the Democrats would be more than glad to cause that disruption. Congressman Trent Kelly, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.